Hey, what's going on, guys? It's B from Kongs R Us, and welcome to The Next Level. This is my weekly podcast show where I bring you next level guest things from the modding community that I think are absolutely next level. And I have a couple of guests with me today that I think you are going to have a lot of fun talking to. So this is going to be a very interactive show. Hope you guys brought some questions, some thoughts, some experiences maybe you've had with modding any of your arcades, because that's how I got started with this whole hobby. Was I bought my very first Street Fighter 2 Arcade1Up cab in November of 2019. So I got it from an Amazon Lightning deal. And my goal at the time was like, I have one of these Arcade1Ups. I think it's fantastic. I'm going to mod it. I saw ET Prime's video. I did the whole basic mod and I was like, I'm going to be done. I'm going to have this multi-arcade. It's going to be amazing. And, you know, flash forward a year and a half later, I have 10 Arcade1Ups. I've continued to mod crazy things. I have lots of new ideas. And so we've all started somewhere. I thought this would be a great topic to talk about. So I'm hoping that you guys will enjoy joining the show and checking it out. But we have a lot of people in chat. So thanks for joining, folks. I see Majin. I see Atran Fanatic that says hello. We got Mike Hawk Hertz saying it's time to go to the next level. Creep Show's here. Hey, it's RPEG Electronics. Raymond is doing some awesome stuff, by the way. If you're into light guns, Gun 4 IR Ray is here. Some cool stuff he's doing. Check out his channel. He's doing some awesome stuff with a Jolty light gun going on. Bill's here. Majin's here again. Sean E's here. What's going on, Sean? Skylar, Ritual Dello, Brad O'Connell, been with the wife out. I'll catch this on replay. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate you checking it out. And Bill writes here, King of all Kongs. I appreciate you. And oh my goodness, to die for mods. Bobby's watching this on YouTube and I keep messaging him and I'm like, Bobby, you got to join my show. He's the king of all mods. I wish you could be here. We can chat about modding all day long. You've seen our live modding sessions. But Bobby is the king of mods. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you guys. Ken's here as well. All right, so enough introductions. We're going to jump straight into the show. I'm going to start bringing on my guests because they are some of the best modders I've seen in the community, just not only from their creativity, but also the sheer volume of mods that they've done. If you watched my, or if you read my description, I asked them when they joined my show, just to make sure I was getting what I quote unquote called experts or most experienced. They each have done over 50 Arcade1Up only mods. Can you imagine that? Like modding 50 full Arcade1Ups. And I have my own mods that I've done that I'll get to. But let's bring on my first guest. You may know him as Gene, aka MadDadsGaming, who has an awesome channel. Let's bring on Gene to the channel. What's going on, Gene? How you doing, man?
What's up, y'all? Y'all doing all right?
Yeah. Thanks for joining, man. You got a lot of things in your background. You got a lot of awesome arcades and mods and projects, but you are known for being kind of like me. I call it the Kongzeros Lab, but you have like this mad scientist thing going on where you put together some crazy ideas even before, you know, people think about it, and then it comes back a year later and you're like, I did that already. You're like, so tell me the story. Tell me your story, man. How did you start modding? Tell me a little history so folks can know about what MadDadsGaming is all about.
All right, so about July, I would say in July of 2019, I I first saw my first Arcade1Up in Walmart. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, hold up, are you serious right now? I can actually have an arcade in my home. Yeah. You know, I've always wanted one, and I just couldn't afford it. You know what I mean? But when they came out and I saw it for the first time, I was like, that's it. So I started collecting, just like everybody else. I was like Street Fighter, then I was like Galaga, and I was like, I was just going down the line, Final Fight, and it just kept coming, and I kept looking at it, and then I'm a tech at heart, so I was like, what am I doing, man? I could probably be, modding these things. What is going on? I got too many in here, I don't have room for that. And then
was it love at first sight when you saw them? What was the very first cab you got? You said Street Fighter?
Yeah, it was the Street Fighter one. Yeah,
nice.
Very first one I got was a Street Fighter, and then after that I got the Galaga one, and that was actually, about a little bit in, I would say, the end of July, I did my first mod on it. I did everything like everybody else, go to ETA Prime, shout out to him. I went there and I was like, I already have tech experience, so I was like, I'm gonna just look at it real quick. Oh, okay, I know what to do now, and then you just leave. Once you got everything, you just roll out. So shouts out to ETA Prime for helping everybody out in the whole community.
Everybody, right? Everybody was. How do you install a Raspberry Pi to an Arcade1Up? And that's
how it was,
That's how it started. That video has over 1 million views now, but I think we all have inspiration from somewhere. But check this out. We got somebody that says, MadDad is my inspiration for some upcoming countercade stands I'm building for all of the $50 Galagas he's modding soon. So you're an inspiration to others now. Yeah, you've come full circle. I mean, you have a great YouTube channel as well that you put out some tutorials and things. So where did it come to the point where you not only wanted to mod these for yourself, but you've done over 50 of these now? And you said you started for yourself, but now you're selling to other folks that are interested in your work. You also do tutorials. Like, how does that change your perspective now, sharing your knowledge with the community?
Well, as you know me, I'm just here for the community, no matter what. So you can call me, you can hit me up on Messenger. Whatever you got to do, I'll help you out. And that's why I actually got in contact with Bobby, because he was the same way I was. Tell you the truth, Bobby's a mod king. He says I'm just like him, but whatever, Bobby.
You know, Bobby's the king.
But I got with him and I said, hey man, I said, you like helping people, you like saving people money, and that's the same thing I do. I like saving people money and trying to figure out things to help people. And always just, no matter what, whoever contacts me, here's my email. We could talk about it. And that's just how I am. It doesn't matter who you are, unless you trip a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. If you tripping, I ain't helping. Okay, I ain't helping.
That's true. There's a lot of people that'll ask for help that don't even know how to pick up a screwdriver yet. So I mean, as much as we want to go through a one-on-one session, and please bring your questions to the chat if you have specific questions, and happy to help everybody as much as we can. But there's a certain level of experience that you need before you dive into a technical explanation of something, right? So I think there's always a baseline that we always want people to have some knowledge first before coming to us with a question. But always happy to help out when, especially if it's like a good intellectual question, like you can tell that somebody has put the time and effort in doing it and they're stuck somewhere. Like I love helping those folks because they've taken the time to try it themselves, and then maybe I just can give them a little bit of support along the way too. So if you're struggling with something, I always encourage people, try it. Google is my best friend. That's how I learned how to do everything, right? Try a little bit and then go ahead and ask some of the experts or folks that have been experienced. And then at that point, they would be happy to help because you've shown that you've taken some time. So just a tip for anybody that's looking for help.
Yeah, you try to, you try to do what you have to do to help everybody. And like I said, there's some people that can't be helped. But my first cab, I think you were talking about that. So that got me into it. That's what happened. And I wanted to do Killer Instinct. As you can see, that's why I put it in the back. That's like one of my favorite games. And that was my first mine. I did it on the Galaga machine. Now, everybody else did a Pi, and you know how I am. Okay. I do things, I don't want to be like anybody else. You see what I'm saying? I want to be somebody, that does different stuff. So everybody was doing Pis. I said, forget that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw PC in there and then put a power switch on the top. See, nobody know about all that back in the day, but I did all that. But, that's what I did. I did that, and I had Killer Instinct on it. And I used, I don't know, old software that most people don't understand, which is, know how to use. It was Maximus Arcade. That's how old that is. So
wow.
I don't know if you use it. I used that, and it didn't have any flashy, like coin ops, and it just had the little, arcade there has little marquee, and it has the video snap.
Some of the OG front ends out there, huh? Interesting. Cool, man.
That was it.
All right. Well, cool, man. Thanks for giving me the intro, learning more about you all the time, Gene. It's a pleasure. I know I've had you on my show at least once talking about Marvel, but definitely want to get you on the show to talk about what you're most known for, which is your mad scientist stuff. But I want to just give a quick shout out to my boy Murray, because he says he loves my Macross collection. And when somebody says Macross, I'm like, woohoo, they actually know what I'm talking about. I'm actually representing this beautiful Macross t-shirt because there's some great news for you anime fans out there. Macross Robotech finally made a marriage of Harmony Gold and Big West. This is foreign talk for all the arcade folks, but it's big news because Macross is now coming to the US. It's gonna dominate. For any of you Gundam fans out there, sorry, no Gundam for me. It's funny. I'm a robot mecha guy, and people are like, "Are those Gundams in your background?" And I'm sorry, no, it's not. It's Macross. So just had to put that out there for all my fellow toy fans out there. But let's digress. Let's bring on my next guest. Retro Lizard is Joel Gorski, and he's another guy in the community that's done a ton of different mods. And I've been following his work. We've been connecting. He's so helpful in the community, and so I wanted to bring him on because he does more than just the Pi mods. He's done PCs. He's done Emulec. He's done a lot of different things. He's gotten into pinball recently. He's done a lot of different things. So I'm going to bring Joel on in just a second, but I got some questions in chat about my Macross stuff, so I got to check it out. We can finally see Macross in the US. Yes. And do I still have room for HasLab's Unicron? I do. It's still over there. The Unicron is beastly. It's in the back. All right, enough distractions, Joel. I'm sorry. I needed to talk my toys because you can see it's my other big hobby in the background. What's going on, Joel?
What's going on, guys?
Yeah, thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate you being here. So Joel is Retro Lizard, but before I even get to asking about your background, how did you come up with the name Retro Lizard? I've always wanted to ask you how you got that name and where it came from. It's one of the most unique things of like Retro Lizard. There it is.
Lizard is actually my nickname from me being a teenager.
Okay.
I used to, and I'll tell you how that came about. I used to work at this pizzeria that my buddy's dad owned.
Mhm.
And one of the managers there, my buddy Joe Kernick, who I actually did an arcade for too recently. I was like 16. You know, I'm 6 foot tall. I'm 140 pounds soaking wet. I got this long neck, and I'm coming up from the basement stairs one day, and he's like, "Yo, you look like a lizard," and it stuck. And everybody in the neighborhood started calling me Lizard for the rest of my life now.
Oh wow, Joel the Lizard Gorski, huh? That's an interesting nickname that you've embraced it. Was it something that you were like didn't like at first, but now like
No, I
you've
loved
obviously
it. I
embraced
embraced it.
Yeah,
I embraced it.
yeah,
I used to drink Sobe drinks. Remember Sobe back in the day?
yeah, with the little gecko on it.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
used to drink those all the time because the little shop next to the pizzeria sold them.
that's funny.
My old gamer tag is Lizard Style. I used to
There it
call that.
is.
I came up with that when I was a teenager, like my little dress style, how I would dress, or if I did something that was unique, I was like, that's
Mhm.
Lizard Style.
Yes, Lizard style. You got your own style, man. That's cool. Awesome. So keep the chat going. Got to give a quick shout out to Polo because he's keeping the chat going, asking everybody about how's their day going. My day's doing well, Polo. Thanks for being here, keeping it going to everybody. We got Akuma Rev is here as well. Always kicking my ass in the Marvel vs. Capcom cab, man. Can't give me one, but for anybody that's playing Marvel, I'm on there every night. Akuma Rev is awesome. All right, but Joel, give me the rundown because I asked Gene about his background on modding, and he said he started in 2019. You've also yourself have done over 50 mods. Like, what was the first mod that you did, and what got you into doing all of this?
The first mod I ever did was my Asteroids mod, which you can see on the left or the
Oh, you
right
still have
screen
it.
over
There you
there.
go.
Yeah, that was my first mod. That was a daddy-daughter project. I got that cab for super cheap, and I wanted an arcade in my house because I collected video games at the time. I used to have a huge collection in this room. I sold them all to make room for arcades. But I did a lot of research, and I didn't even know what a Raspberry Pi was at the time. Right, we're talking January 2020 here.
Yeah.
So I figured everything out. I did a lot of research, tried to figure out what the best image was for the Pi 3 that I could use. I had a lot of games on it. I wanted as many games as I could possibly get. And then I did the little project with my daughter, and I did some research, talked to my brother, like, how am I going to drill this deck? I was looking around online. I was trying to YouTube. I didn't really see a lot of tutorial videos on how to drill the deck or hook up the controls. So I kind of just read a lot of Reddit forums and a couple other forums online. MadDad's Gaming. I looked at your videos a few times to get some tips on how to do some things.
There you go.
And that's what started it. Of course, my daughter lost interest.
And you took off, right? You're like, all right, that's okay. Father-daughter time is over. Let's get to business. And so you've done over 50 mods now at this point in time. And is that anywhere, like, has it always been Arcade1Ups that you mostly focus on? Have you dived into any of the other home arcade genre modding yet?
For the most part, Arcade1Ups, yeah. I've done 2 bar tops, and then I did one full-size arcade from scratch. And then I also did, it was supposed to be a rehab project for a Street Fighter 2 OG one, but that turned into me having to completely modify it to play a few thousand games on it.
Okay. So it was going to be a restore, and then it just turned into a multi-game project, yeah.
I ended up, it was my first old school arcade. I didn't really know much about it. I ended up burning out the power supply, and then when I rehooked it up, the PCB board didn't work.
Okay.
So I figured out that I must have burned out the PCB board when I burned out the power supply. And then I got that all hooked up with a Pandora to the old CRT. And when I turned the CRT on, it just had a white line across the center, which turns out to be a vertical collapse. So then I had to change out the monitor to a flat screen monitor.
Oh, wow.
So I had to learn how to do that. Of course, I had some help from a few people too, from the groups.
So it sounds like along the way you've made your own fair share of mistakes on your way to being experienced and Mr. Master Arcade expert you are too. So this is one of the questions I wanted to ask both of you guys, because we all started at some place, just like you were saying, where we knew very little. We all had to kind of learn and bust our own chops and learn from each other and watch videos. And you have to go through these growing pains, if you will. If anybody knows modding, the good thing is that hopefully you can fix most anything. Some things you can't, like CRTs and old materials, you might not be able to. But I've been wanting to put together in the future at some point my top 5 or top 10 rookie modding mistakes. And so I wanted to ask you guys and help me create some content. What are some of your top rookie mistakes that you've made either with Arcade1Up or with anything that you've done in the modding scene. So you've talked about like power supply stuff. What else you got, Gene? Oh, I gotta unmute you. Sorry. There he is. Like, let me talk.
Say anything,
let me talk.
But tell you the truth, I had I'm not gonna lie, a couple of mistakes. I hate plexiglass, so that's one thing you will not see me really do as much. I always get graphics. I order them and say I want scratch resistant. Call it a day. That's it. You know what I mean? I don't really deal with that. And then encoder boards. One was it was the dual encoder board that you have, and you try to put it on a Raspberry Pi. I was like, oh, I'm happy. Yes, let me go ahead and start it. And then next thing you know, if it's a dual encoder board, it won't work with the Pis. You have to go in there and do all the coding on it, so it will actually recognize that second joystick. And that sucks. I had everything all good to go and ready, and then I had to put the keyboard in, and all that stuff. I was that was one. But other than that, I'm perfect.
Gene, I was asking Gene on this in the pre-show. I was like, Gene, I'm gonna ask you this question, and he's all like, I don't make mistakes because I'm cheap. I want to save money. That's not a bad way to go. Where like you say you measure twice, cut once. Gene has measured 3 times, cut once, because it costs money to make mistakes, doesn't it? Like you're saying plexiglass. I think that was my first mistake too. I made was actually using a step bit on a plexiglass, but I didn't have like a proper backing for it, and was like, I'm just gonna hold this on my knee and like drill through the hole. So I think I have it. Where is it? I brought it with me. I brought the very first plexiglass I ever broke as like a memento. It's one of the things where even though it's broken, like I don't toss out old stuff. I feel like I should just get rid of things. But now I'm like, I have it, and now I should just hang it on my wall as a memento of my old modding days. Oh, I don't have it, so I don't know. But Joel, what else you got?
I got one more.
Oh, you got one more? Yeah.
Remember that one? So he has a picture of it, but I was doing a custom Mortal Kombat. That was kind of like I think it was probably my 10th thing I was going to try. I wanted to do my own custom Mortal Kombat cabinet, and I wanted to do it from scratch back in the day. So I did it, but when I was drilling the holes for all my other clients, I had all my control panels I had cut out. And then I was drilling it, and I forgot I took my Mortal Kombat one. I had a 4-player and a 2-player one. I started drilling it and drilled Street Fighter. I drilled Street Fighter holes instead of the Mortal Kombat holes.
Oh, so, you did a 6-player layout on a Mortal Kombat layout.
Oh, so I couldn't believe it, man. I couldn't believe it because I had already had the graphic, and it was just that's one thing. So I'm not really perfect, y'all. Just a little bit. But yeah, that's a thing. My bad, Joe. You go ahead.
That's funny. But yeah, put in the chat if you guys have other like tips and things that you guys have done. Oh, I hear Fernando talking about Forstner bits. I want to get to bits because Joel, he was the one that turned me on to Forstner bits. But let's go back to Gene's comment about his Mortal Kombat, because you haven't seen it. I had a teaser of it in my thumbnail, because look at this. Look how gorgeous that is. It's a scratch built, the shape of it. I mean, man, like when you actually have right next to you the legacy cab, don't you? Like, don't you wish your legacy cab looked more like the one that you built? You already built one. Why did you get the legacy one?
All right, so yeah, so you know how it is, man. See, when I do stuff for people, they come over and they see it. That's the whole thing. That's what happens, man. They see it, and I'm like, they're like, oh man, how much is that one? And I'm like, 3,000, because I don't want to sell it. You see what I'm saying? And then, so he was like, all right, I'll buy it. So I mean, I'm just saying that's why I had to get that, because I know I can make another one, but I mean, come on, y'all. Come on, everybody in chat, come on, y'all. Y'all know he said 3,000. Y'all gonna be like, just go ahead and set it out, get it out of here. So I was like, look, I can get another Mortal Kombat one for like, I mean, I can build it again, and I still got the graphics. I have about 2 sets. But I'm just saying that's why I don't have it no more. I have it that the guy, he actually bought it probably like 2 weeks ago, and but that was my favorite. That was one of them. I don't know if we get into that later, but that was one of my favorite things to do. I couldn't believe it. It had the door that opens in the back, so I had the door with the swings in the back, had everything. I mean, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so we got some other people saying that they broke their plexiglass. Right, taking forever. Like it was one of those things where you get one shot at it, and then if you break it, you either had to make your own, get a replacement. But man, like plexiglass is brutal. All right, Joel, back to you. So what are some of the other lessons learned that you have?
My very first one was my Astros cab. When I was drilling out the coin buttons, I popped out the power button and the volume switch, and I took the Forstner bit to go drill into that hole, and it completely just went everywhere. It's like it messed up the entire deck to the point where I had to paint the deck black. And then I learned about using the step bit on those two holes because the Forstner bit won't catch it to drill through.
Oh, okay.
The plexi, I've made the mistake on the plexi. The second Star Wars I ever did, those little knobs on the back of the big red buttons. I forgot that you had to clip those off. So when I'm looking at it, and it was like a good 2 months since I did my first Star Wars, I already had the holes drilled for the deck, and I'm like, I don't remember having to drill these little holes. So I took a little drill bit and I went to go drill the holes out for it, and I cracked the plexi.
Oh no!
Like a huge crack.
Oh no!
And I'm like, and I told the guy that I would have it to him by like 3 more days from the day that I started drilling the deck. I'm like, I had to learn how to go make a plexi that night. I ran to Lowe's. I bought a Dremel tool. I watched Bobby's video on how to make a plexi. Thank you, Bobby. Because he saved the day that night when I had to make that. I was like, oh man.
That's the worst. It's like when you're close to the end of modding and then you do a little mistake like that. So on my Star Wars panels too, I've been installing this little analog joystick on the top left corner, and the last thing I need to do to secure it is drill these 4 small holes into the plexi to like secure it down. But I don't know why, but I save that as the last step because I'm scared I'm gonna break it. But then I'm like, if I break it early in the process, at least it's not like as painful. But it's just one of those mental things that you get. Once you get it, you got to do it. But yeah, some other folks are just talking about other mistakes they've made. But Harry was saying, congrats on the 3,000. What a deal. But Fernando, we all know Fernando. He's also another great modder in the community too. He says, Forstner bits is the way, but you need to make sure you completely secure as much as possible the plexi to not make it move while drilling. Yeah, absolutely. Clamps, right? Got to get some right clamps going on. Clamps, tape it down.
Don't use any duct tape though on that plexi, because the duct tape will, when you peel it off, you might have to scrub it down because some of the duct tape will be left on it.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
That one the hard way.
So we're getting into a conversation about tools. So what are some of the go-to tools that you have in your modding kit that you've really have, that every modder, whether they're beginner or expert, like what are some of the things that you always continually go to in your tool chest? So let me ask Joel first, kind of what do you got in your toolbox?
Besides a Phillip head screwdriver, like drill. I have a sinker bit on the drill that I use when I use the pie mods. I screw the pie to the back of the monitor, the bottom part where the wood is, so I use that to drill in. I need that tool every time I do a mod. And then the Forstner bit.
Yes.
The third tool that you're always going to need will probably be some wire strips if you're going to do some wire stripping.
Yeah.
But the Forstner bit and a drill and a bit so that you can drill into the wood a little bit to get the screws in. Screwing them in by hand, I mean, you can get it in there by hand, but it's tough, man. You'll be sitting there, your hand will probably cramp. You're going to come up like this. It's going to look bad.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think, Gene, you had something similar that you were saying, right, in terms of your favorite tools, your go-tos?
Yeah, so, Phillips screwdriver, drill, and I got the bits that he's talking about. I got 2 of them in the garage there. And then my favorite tool, even though it's not a tool, look at that. Even though it's not a tool, it's actually 3M Gorilla Tape. I'm telling you, if you haven't had that, if you don't have that, it will stick to everything. Like you can just put it up there, double-sided. Yeah, the 3M double-sided tape is fantastic. So I mean, everything I have, sticking speakers up, if you want to do something like that, like it will not come off unless you really like rip the top cover or whatever up. You can just rip it off. But other than that, that's the tools that I normally have. It's just the drill is basically, and then the countersink tool is.
Oh man, you saved the day with that one when you told me about that.
Wait, what's a countersink again? That's what you use to make like
it's the sink to hold. So you put it in there and it makes that little round. So that way the screw that won't be outside of the wood.
Oh, okay.
So I had that video on that too. That's probably what he saw, but I had a video on how to actually do that on that video. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. Your average gamer's here, and he says his go-to tool is a marker. You know that that sharpie when you like make a mistake, you want to mark it down. Coastal Lover saying that routers. Have you guys used routers to do anything to kind of make clean cuts?
I've only used a router twice. I needed the router hold to get a flight stick in on one of those X Arcade pedestals, and then I used it twice to make team molding cuts on the 1-Up.
Yeah. Routers can be good. They can be a little tricky to use. They're like overpowered Dremel, right? But if you need to make like a little slot cut, obviously if you're doing real team mode, you can use the router there as well. But these are we're home modders, right? We don't have full on garages with everything. There's probably way more advanced people that are using CNCs and way other things too. But we're talking about the home modding community in terms of what you got to use. And so I was just for folks that are just wondering, right? Like this was the ETA prime bit. This whole saw was the Bobby Vu bit because he taught me how to mod using, and he still uses a whole saw like for all his mods, for all the things he do. Bobby, like you got to get on this Forstner bit business because this will save you so much time. When Joel was telling me about doing plexi and control panels at the same time using a Forstner bit, my God, my life was changed forevermore. So I just want to give you a quick shout out because that I used all the bits and definitely, as people were saying, the Forstner bit. Oh, and I have a drill press now, which has been my new best friend. So if you're doing lots of modding, I wouldn't recommend it for somebody that's just doing a handful of panels. But if you plan on doing it a lot, drill press, Joel, it's worth it.
I had one. What's the horsepower on your drill press? Because it took me 2 hours to drill through 2 or 3 decks.
Really interesting.
Yeah, the Forstner bit heated it up so bad it was almost melting the plastic on the plexi.
It does get hot. You have to go you have to find the right pressure when you're pressing down on it to make sure it's catching. So you have to use a new Forstner bit first. If you're using an older one that you may have been using, it might be a little dull. But I had a little trouble trying to get it to drill properly at first. But I have to look at the specs. But you have to kind of go like really gently, softly. But once it starts catching, then it's just like really slow motion through it. I can drill through a Star Wars panel with 16 holes in like 15 to 20 minutes. So
and I was doing 3-4 player decks.
Yeah, but it does get hot when you use it. So I have a couple of new Forstner bits that I kind of keep and rotate. But some more advanced tool tricks. Somebody was talking about the reverse trick. Do you guys remember that? The drilling and reverse trick with the step bits. Was that something that you guys ever did?
That's for the saw bit too.
Oh, for the whole saw, right? Yeah, the whole saw. You don't want to. What's your experience with that? Do you recommend drilling in reverse for plexi and all that good stuff, or what?
No, using a Forstner bit, zip right through it, man. Go full speed right on. If you're using a drill, go full speed right on with the Forstner bit right into it. With the step bit, start out at like a medium speed when you get in there, and then once it starts catching, just go full speed right at it, and it'll just clink right down.
Okay.
Same with Eugene?
Nah, never. I don't.
He's like, I don't do this.
I try to get graphics. Like I said, I do graphics. That way, we don't have to worry about it. Because that's what my clients want. They don't really want to pay for like plexi and stuff like that. So I just, I tell them, the options of what we have, what I have, and I can get them. And most of the time they don't get it. Now I do some. I use what y'all were talking about, and I just go through it. And it doesn't really take that long. I actually use my my drill. I actually just go down in it. Just tape the sides. Make I'm not gonna lie, 3M tape again. I put it on there, and then
gotta use it.
Go down. It just stays there. And
the double-sided tape works on everything. We got some people that are using Velcro, magnetic screw cup holders. Bobby finally jumped in and was like, nope. I don't need that Forstner bit. He doesn't need the drill. But I was like, Bobby, he has a drill press, but he's like, you want to see my drill press? Is right here. The first time I met Bobby,
level of modding than we are, man. Whole new level.
Oh yeah, that's so funny. Oh, and then George Adana is here, my good buddy George. He has the fancy tools. He's got a laser cutter. Look at that with his fancy tools. Yes. Fernando's giving some other good tips here. Please be careful with USB encoders not to touch the joystick metal inside the deck. So let's talk about electronic woes and mistakes. So I mean, not only is the hardware one side of modding, but eventually you have to put a Pi in there, you have to put the encoders in there, and even the software configuration takes a ton of work too. So I mean, tell me about your experiences now on, like you say, so any of the hardware, electrical components, the software side of things, any mistakes, tips that you guys have for that side of the modding fence?
Double check everything.
Double check everything. Gene, what do you got?
Well, I guess, okay, Pi 4, because everybody wanted to. So what I was doing, I was trying to test it out to do a, because everybody was wanting to know if it will pay Killer Instinct. I don't know if y'all saw that video. So I actually went through, put it on there, checked it out, played it regular first. And then I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and overclock it. Let's do this. You know, I'm a tech, so we can do this, right? Yeah. And then I went through, kind of overclocked it, went to like 2100, something like that, put the GPU at like, I think it was like 768 or something like that. And then, you know, went in there, it booted up, hit the game, negative. Like, so let me give y'all one tip, okay? Before you mess up any of your images, go take the card out, put it in a computer if you have one, copy that config.txt file, paste it to the desktop, and then once you change it, you know, if something happens to it, you just take that card out, put it back, paste what you had in there normally, it will go back to normal and will boot up fine. So hopefully y'all haven't, you know, just threw away a Pi or whatever it is, thinking it just doesn't work. Sometimes, like I said, copy that config, that text file, and you'll be fine. But that's what happened. It worked. Overclocked to like 1980, and that thing, I'm telling you, it's like the first time it didn't really play on the Orchid stage, but after like on the Riptor stage, man, it played beautifully. So it was pretty good.
We gotta Get Off My Lame Gaming is giving you some crap, Joel, about working in candlelight. You're looking pretty dark there. So are you in your basement? Is that where your arcades are at?
Yeah, I'm in the basement and I have like one bulb.
There you go. It's all good. Yeah. It's okay. We like this. This is some nice arcade, you know, just chill stream chat lighting we got going on. Are you doing more decorations in your basement, or is it just kind of bare bones in there?
This side is bare bones. The other side of my basement's all refinished. I got a bar over there. I got the pinball table.
There you go.
I got a wraparound couch. We got the surround sound. I got a 9.2 Onkyo. I got beer on tap.
Yes. And you guys ever do a fridge mod? Has that ever been part of your arsenals? I've always seen it, but
no, I haven't.
It's not a mod.
It's not a mod. Come on.
There you go. I do it, man. That's what I love it when he does that.
Oh, he's putting it out there.
I love the checks when he says that.
You've modified something, though.
In a sense, we can all agree it's a mod, but it's a very easy mod. Slide the thing out, put the thing in, you're done. I never did one though. I really don't. I don't know if there's more entailed to that or not.
Could be. Maybe someone's got to route out that custom. You got to put graphics on, right? That's the other side of the thing. Like it's not finished until you dress it up. And I know you guys have various graphics. Do you guys all have like specific art guys that you use, or like tips on applying graphics? Because I absolutely suck at applying graphics. So just I know this is another area that you know, in terms of getting your mods finally to be done, you got to make it look nice, right? So what do you got? Do you have any tips and go-tos, Gene?
Yeah, I actually use MK Arcade Restore
okay.
there, and then what is it? I think it's Justin at the Gulf Coast decals. He has some really good ones. I mean, there's a bunch of people. Escape Pod, you know, I mean, everybody really, and you know, got the discount. So MadDadsGaming on there, all of those. Okay, it's just letting y'all know. But I'm telling you, the graphics. That's one thing I hate. Like when I got the iArcade, I had to put the graphics on it, and I hate, even though, you know, it's all about the funds, you know, coming in. So you do it. So you raise. I'm not gonna lie, I raised my prices on graphic install because it just, if you mess up, you know, if you mess it up, it's over with. Like you just have to do it all over again, or try to, you know, use a marker or whatever you have to do to get it taken care of. But once you get it on there, normally I just lay it. So what I do is I tape the sides. So when I get it set, I tape the sides, and I don't use any of the spray. That's one thing I don't use. I don't use any water or anything like that. And you've probably seen how they come out. I just lay it down, tape it on the sides. I lift it up. I cut off the top part, like cut off halfway, and then just use the slider tool, and then go all the way across. And then
That's
I
the
do the same
modding
thing.
slider.
Yeah, that's how
It's
you
like
do it.
dancing.
Oh, I can't do that. But then I go this way, and then I'm telling you, it's quick, it's done. And I use I have like this knife that's like real sharp, like, and you think that it would mess everything up, but it's better than the regular tool. You just go around it, that thing just cuts beautifully.
Nice.
So I mean, that's
So
how you do it.
I'm going to ask Joel how to do it, but I'm going to show you first one of the teasers that Joel put into the thumbnail that he sent me from his favorite mod that he did. And he did this awesome Tron mod, which is pretty nifty.
Nice.
Has this nice little art there that's all nicely applied. But I want to show you the my Tron mod because I use the exact same graphics, but look how terrible my graphics are. Look how off-centered that is, Joel. Isn't that terrible? It's so bad. I was doing what you did.
Great, man.
No, that's good, man.
No, look,
it looks good.
Look at the top part. Look, like the lines on the pink. You see, like if you looked at it, it's way up. I thought I was doing the Gene thing where I was sliding it, and I was like, oh, this is looking good. And then I finished it, and I was like, shit. And then I was like, oh man. But Joe, I know you're a fan of the wet method, right? So is that for full size arcade? You can just spray it down too. You don't have any bubbles or anything. Like I've always wanted to ask, like soap, water.
Soapy water. Soapy water is the way to go.
Yes.
Don't use anything else unless you need to.
Yes.
But soapy water is the way to go for, at least in my experience. I tried the dry method on my very first one, and it was really hard. It was actually like my fourth mod I ever did too. And I never did a graphic in my life.
Oh, wow.
So it was my first graphic ever. It was really hard. I got it on there and it looked really good. It was my X-Men mod I did. But otherwise, after that, I used the wet method, and it just gave me a lot more free play to move the graphic around,
make sure it's centered,
to maneuver it, center it, and make it look good. But the trick is you got to get all those bubbles out. And I was using the wrong tool at first. I was using a rubber squeegee, like one you would use for like a window, and that's the wrong one. I didn't know. You got to get that plastic squeegee, that blue plastic squeegee that they sell on Amazon for like $5. That's the one you got to get, and it's like butter. It cuts it right out, gets all the liquid out, and you're good to go.
Yep.
I used the Tron one that I showed you. Those graphics are blacklight reflective graphics.
Oh, are they? Nice.
They are.
So I got mine from Arcade Graphics, and I for a design like that where like there's actual lines that have to match up, I would definitely recommend doing a wet method. If you're doing an install that you have a lot of bleed and maybe it's not as accurate, but afterwards, because I've done a lot of other mods too where I've just applied the graphics and it was slightly off, but then you couldn't tell because you cut everything off. But that one had lines and I'm like, no. So I think it kind of depends on the graphics that you're using, but people are using different things. So that's just depends on what you're most comfortable with, right? Use the tools that you have. But those are the things that you got.
Yeah, same thing with cutting too. You got to have the right tool for cutting. Gene said he's got a really awesome knife.
Yep.
That he uses to cut to trim down the graphics. I was using a regular a blade that you would cut carpet with, and it was too thick and it wasn't cutting the graphic right. So you got to use a real thin blade in order to cut. That I learned that you got to cut the graphics with. Yep.
I make sure. Okay. Go ahead. Oh yeah, and make sure if you can, man. Like if you ever see that's why you don't see any holes or anything on mine, because I put the Arcade1Up together first.
Yep.
Then put the graphic on. So I don't know if people do that. It's just easier because that way you don't have to worry about it covers the screw holes when you're done.
But what if you make a mistake and then you have to install something later on, and then you're like, I did that with my Street Fighter cab. I think I applied graphics on it. I was like, oh, I don't have any like holes exposed, and then afterwards I was like, oh man, now I forgot I have to put the marquee in, and then I had to get the holes out again. But I think we all make mistakes. But I want to give a quick shout out to our guy Vic VP who's listening on his drive. Vic has been on my show before. He's an inspiration, and we all kind of follow him for VPN, other things too. But I think that's really cool. I see a lot of guys in the community. We're really here just helping each other get better. I think as a modding community, one of the nice things is that, you can do something that you can post it. You can say, hey, that's awesome. And then we can learn. And there's a competition, but it's always nice to see how you can take something that somebody's done and make it better or improve upon it. So I love seeing the creativity and people doing stuff. Like, Joel, I love you doing Star Wars stuff, right? I know people know me for doing my Star Wars mod, but when I see your stuff, I'm like, hell, if you can do it as well and you can do it better, that's great. Like, I just want to see us pushing each other more. And Vic has been one of those guys that's been helping push people. So thanks for joining here. But yeah, you guys,
I've talked to Vic privately a couple times about pinball and just random other things. Vic is a great dude. Everybody in the community is a great dude. Yeah. But a real shout out to Vic, man. I'll talk to you, message you randomly. He always responds, no matter what. Always responds, and he's always helpful.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So what are some of the other kind of go-to inspirations that you guys have for modding? Are there any other people that you follow, other things that, that give you inspiration on doing brand new things? Because Gene, you got crazy ideas too, by the way. Like, you're not just doing a slap-on artwork and throwing a pie. Like, you're doing crazy 2-player TMNT back-to-back things. Like, where do you come up with this stuff? Where's your inspiration come from?
Again, like I was telling you, man, I when you do this stuff, you see everybody else's, you have a normal mod, and I don't want to be like that. I want to be like where if they come to my channel and see something, like they're like, oh man, dang, nobody has done that. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something that nobody has ever done, and just wow the people, really. Make sure that if they need something, and they just an idea, because everybody has the idea, but they just don't put it towards, put it on anything. They don't have anything to put it towards, or Facebook group and all that stuff. But me, that's what I did. I have ideas. So I said, okay, I'm gonna let the people choose for me. I said, let me just throw it on there, like the countercade stand. Everybody was like, oh man, that looks like crap. And I didn't care. I was like, well, I ain't got the space. So, but then when I put the graphics on it, it's like, they were like, oh, hold up. That looks actually pretty good. My bad, man, from the last comment I said. And it's just just certain things you try to do and to get people's in there, like that one you were talking about, the turtles. I wanted to do that because I was like, everything I've done really on my channel has been sold. So I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, somebody come in and they see it, and I'm like, I always go high because you know how it is. You just want to sell it. And that's what happens. And just like my Mortal Kombat Wallcade, started that, did the Wallcade on that, just other stuff that you just think that nobody would want to do. And then the pinball, the Arcade1Up, like pinball, before anybody else was trying to do any of the pinball, like that was my best. I would say that was my best mod that I had. I don't know if you have a picture of that, but
the vertical pinball that you did.
Huh? Yeah, on the Arcade1Up, I wanted to keep it simple with the Arcade1Up, and so that was it. So appreciate you, man. Appreciate everybody.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I saw a comment back here. I definitely had to pull it up because Arpeg Electronics, aka Raymond Dye, was asking. He doesn't know who To Die For Mods is, but I got to give Arpeg just a quick shout out. If you haven't checked him out, and my other guy, Gun King, you guys know Gun King Brad Diedrichs. He's the king of gun mods. And with everybody getting their Sindens soon, I know everybody's been asking me, B, when are you going to do an aim track or a gun mod? And I know that you've done mods too, Joel, right, with aim tracks and things. But everybody's been waiting for Sindens, but this guy, Arpeg Electronics, I just checked out his channel. He has this new product called Gun for IR that uses 4 infrared sensors that's just as accurate as Sindens from what I've seen, and he's been putting them into some old Jolt guns. So the Time Crisis guns that actually have a sliding top? He's getting those sliding guns into a working infrared gun. It's awesome. So I'm gonna connect with him. Hopefully we can get some going on. But you got to check out To Die For Mods. I just wanted to mention that from modding perspective, there's so many things that haven't been done yet. So I'll maybe ask you guys really quickly, what are some future ideas and projects and mods that you haven't been able to get to, but you guys have been cooking up in your brain? You don't have to, reveal everything, right? But I'm just curious to hear what you got cooking in your kitchen. So Joel, any plans for future mods, things you got going on? But let me know in chat if you have anything you want to share too. Happy to hear through chat what you got going on.
I'm going to have one of my largest software builds coming up. It's going to be 32 terabyte build.
Oh my god.
32 terabytes. What do you do with that 3 lifetimes worth of gaming, man? Like,
I don't know, man, but there's a lot of games in there. One of the guys I'm doing it for, he hooked me up with all the hard drives, and he had a bunch of games on them, and he's like, see if you can get these working. And I did. And I'm like, yeah, I can put this in your cab. So it's gonna be my biggest build I've ever done, software wise, at least.
Wow, that's huge. Therefore, from Arcade with Jason is here. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Gene, what you got cooking in the lab, in the secret mad scientist lab?
Well, everybody's at the ALP, so they got the pinball now. And when I started looking at the back box, and when I opened it, and when I was just thinking about it, I was thinking that you could probably just switch it. Like I'm just saying, I'm giving y'all what I was thinking about doing. So you know how the monitors are; they're not that big,
Mhm.
and that space back there gives you enough room. So if you think about it, you get that back box. If you open it, it has enough room to just put a monitor on the back side of it, and then you could just turn it. You turn it, put it back there, and then now you have speakers out of the back. Yes, the speakers on the back, but you're still going to get that awesome sound, and then you have your big 19-inch, 20-inch screen on the back. So that's what I was thinking about doing. I haven't tried it yet, but when I put a monitor up there, and it actually fit. So just in case y'all wanted to check that out, I'm just going to give it out. That's how we are in the community. If you're thinking about doing something like that, it will fit in there. You just have to figure out like how to get it, get it like stuck, so where it will stay there. But just think about that, man. Twisting it. You got your normal one on there, and you just twist the other side, and bam! Now you got your computer hooked up. You got the double screen because everybody's talking about how small the screen is, the back box is. So
you're talking about the Legends. So Legends Pinball, you're going to just do a double-sided back box. So one side is stock, flip it on the back side. Then you have your PC version of it, and you're gonna build some sort of swivel where you can just be like transform, and then like flip. It's not a bad idea. Interesting concept, as I might. No, I'm just kidding. But no, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, like the double-sided stuff. I mean, yeah, because the only thing that's holding down the Legends pinball, and there's a couple of folks that were talking about doing their own pinball mods. Like, it's just four little like screw things that are holding it down. It's super easy, and then it's just the cable. That's just it's two things that you're plugging in. So, yeah, that's doable. That's possible. Yeah, I like that. Cool. Do you have other? Yeah, I still have to do my Legends pinball review. I've been dragging my feet because I have a lot to say about it, but I have this video that I've been recording, and then I have all these mod plans for it too. So like I have a lot of mods planned for the Legends pinball as well. And doing my own back box mod too. The thing for me, and I don't care about talking about is, but like you're right, the back box is way too small. Like in terms of proportion size for the actual Legends pinball itself. And so I'm actually going to be building a bigger back box to like actually put in a monitor in it too, and still fit in the 15.6-inch DMD or the back glass and use that as the DMD. So I'm gonna drop that, make that the DMD, put a 24-inch screen. You guys heard it here first. It's gonna happen, and then yeah. So that's what's gonna happen. So revealing it. Hopefully it'll happen soon, but I got a lot of work to do. But those are all my plans. Vic was saying, thanks guys. Joel, keep rocking the mods. Responds fast. So he's there, always helpful being a part of the community. Is Gene a fan of the TG16? Gene, do you know what that is?
TurboGrafx 16. That's what you're talking about, right?
I think so. Yeah.
That's what comes to my mind.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I just have a bunch of on the back here. That's my the Launchbox build.
Oh, okay.
That's I mean, I have that back there, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I used to have all those consoles and stuff like that. Back in the day, had everything. My mom said, "You don't need that. Get it out of here." So I had to get rid of them, man. And then now, I just have like the minis and stuff. That's all I have right now. But other than that, I mean, that's it. I just deal with arcades, as y'all know, and consoles because I'm into that too. So there we go.
All right, I'm just catching up with chat for some other questions we got. B, what's going on with that Star Wars battle pod you got? I don't have a full size battle pod, but I got a pod racer that I got a full size arcade for recently, but it's sitting in my garage. Joel, you were talking about diving into full size arcades and fixing that up, and that's a whole nother beast. I still have to get more knowledgeable in that subject as well, because like you said, you can break power supplies, you can break PCB boards, so that's something I need to venture into. So that's what's up with that. I don't have it working at all. But did you keep your SF2? Did you sell that? Is that still in your place, Joel?
That was for a guy that was for my buddy who actually owns. That
was a client. Oh,
yeah, okay. He owns a retro game store up north of me, so it's sitting in his store, and he's actually opening up an arcade. And it's going to be like one of the only arcades around here besides like Dave & Buster's. So it's an old school retro arcade he's opening up.
All right, here's a good question. Like, what do you guys thought about the Arcade1Up Pong table? Like, any potential ideas for mods you think could be done to that? I'm kind of curious too. What do you guys think, modding experts?
Oh, that reminds me of a cocktail table. You can go six. You can go 2 players head to head on that with 6 buttons on each side. That's the first thing that comes to my head that I would do. Gene, what about you?
Well, I mean, just when I looked at it, I don't know, man. I'm looking at it how they have the actual. It looks like you have to. To me, it looks like you're gonna have to replace the whole top, just from what I'm looking at to try to get everything like you want it. And I was just like, I don't know. I was gonna get it because I have that. I can't remember what that game is called now. It's the one where you hit it and you have to try to take care of your stuff and where you block the ball from coming in. Oh my god, I can't remember that game. Warlords or something like that. Yeah, so that's one of the games that I like. But other than that, it was just the price, man. I don't think the price should have been that. I don't think so.
And then with those things too, like part of the appeal is just it's 4-player functionality in the stock games too. So like more and more now, like the stock, finding a way to preserve the stock games while modding it would be ideal, right? But I know sometimes you have to make that decision, like, do I gut it completely, or can, for example, the Geek Worm, right, make it so that you can output to HDMI and then convert the monitor, because that way you can still keep it and then convert the HDMI signal to something else. But then you have the control issues. So I don't know. So I think that's going to be a hard one. I think it's for something that's that unique. I don't think I would consider doing hard mods to it besides maybe just some cosmetic things, buttons, things like that. I don't know. Just thinking about it, the reason why you would get it is that 4-player functionality, and then if you turn it into a cocktail table, you'd lose some of that. So I don't know. Maybe there's some future folks that'll come out with a 4-screen player type of thing that you can do more of.
You could always turn it into a 4-way cocktail table. They make a
do they?
I think it's called an elf.
Interesting.
The elf box, you can put it into a cocktail table, and then it also will rotate the screen. Then you can have 4 players play at once.
Nice. Good to know.
Could you put a mechanical, take out that monitor, just put a mechanical thing in there, have it raise up to a vertical and put pinball? No, it's fine. But you know what I mean? Have it raise up out of there. You got the table, man. I'm just saying.
All transformable, man. And then make it have a rotatable. Yeah. There's been some really cool things. I mean, there's some really talented people out there. So, I mean, hopefully this is just inspiring people that can do simple stuff. Skylar is asking for a simplified Arcade1Up pinball mod that preserves the solenoids. Gene, are you modding your Arcade1Up pinball at all? Or are you keeping it stock?
Well, I mean, since I have the Gamer Pro and all that stuff, I have the Gamer Pro, and I just did a video on the FX and all that. Yeah. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, I could probably put that in a cabinet I was working on. Joel knows about that one, but I'll probably do something like that. But then I started looking at that and I was like, man, that's pretty, like you said, it's an easier mod. Putting a monitor in there kind of keeps everything, the way it is. So I might go ahead and just mod it with the FX, just like you did. That was a good mod, by the way. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely am going to be putting together a more in-depth, full, like my own version of pinball modding. And I know, shout out to Cool Toy because he did a full series on modding the Arcade1Up pinball to do everything. And I want to go like half that level and just do Pinball FX3 and just the solenoids, and that's it. So, and I've done it. I've been playing it, and it's been fantastic. So I just need to clean it up a little bit. Joel, what do you think about this comment about replacing kind of buttons and joysticks in all your mods? Are you doing that with all your mods? Are you doing buttons, fancy buttons and joysticks for everything?
Every mod I do for an arcade gets the new LED buttons. Unless the customer doesn't want the LED buttons, we'll get regular ones. But I usually use the EG Starts ones on Amazon, the 4-player kit and the 2-player kit. And I've been doing the button graphics lately too. I got that Cricut machine to cut the buttons out, and then I just print them on regular paper, and it gives it the translucent light too. But every arcade mod I do, I mean, you can see the one behind me, the blue lights are lit up. I never use any of the stock stuff except for the monitor and the deck. Every mod I've done, I modify the deck. I don't buy a new deck. I don't do any of that. I do the OEM deck and the OEM monitor. Everything else is replaced.
Cool. I'm so behind on chat. I'm catching up stuff. So Mr. Chip is asking what your YouTube channel is. Check it out. It's in the description. It's Retro Lizard custom arcades or just Retro Lizard? I think it's just Retro Lizard, right?
I took the custom arcade off. Yeah, it's just Retro Lizard now.
Hey, Rexer is here. He says it's a headache, real arcades, but worth it. I absolutely agree, man. I think it's going to be worth it when I have my full-size Virtual cab and the Star Wars Pod Racer cab, and I'm completely out of space. I actually have a Lethal Enforcers cab too, but my garage is full of full-size cabs that I need to learn. I need to learn quick, but otherwise...
The PCB on that Virtual cab is ginormous, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's oh my god, it's so big.
The Model 2 boards are ginormous, and so I can look at it and see kind of some red lights and things, but there's a guy called I Repair Sega that kind of looks at these, and so I might just contract him to take a look at it. But he was saying the Pod Racer, for folks that aren't aware of the Sega Hikaru boards, that board is very finicky and hard to ship, and so I don't know, it might be that. I was like, oh, maybe I can just mod it then, but I wish there was a nice emulated version of Pod Racer, because then I can set it up, but that one's going to be hard to get going, unfortunately. But it looks great. It's a great art piece for $400. So I got it for a steal for $400, but it's non-working, unfortunately. What can you do? What can you do? All right, let's see if there's any other questions in here to see if we can answer stuff. I love how the chat is just talking with themselves, because that's awesome. It's always great. You know how it is. Oh my goodness, we're already almost close to an hour. We're at an hour, so we'll probably wrap this up pretty soon. Just see if there's any last questions in chat. Put them in there. But Joel, any other last projects, things you want to mention to the group before we start signing off and closing things out?
Just finishing up my pinball mod. I haven't done a full reveal on that on my YouTube channel
or
community yet. So it's just a basic pinball mod, 3 monitors. There's no SSF, there's no DOF lighting. And it's just running a PC inside it, 16 gigabyte RAM, 1 terabyte external hard drive with a 1650 GPU. And then I got micro switch buttons on it. I got the leaf buttons that Dick recommended to me, but I don't have those hooked up yet because I need an extra piece to plug it into the micro switch. Nice. So, well, yeah, that's the only thing. It's a JAWS. I finally put the T-molding on it. I had this thing put together for like 2 months. I didn't put the T-molding on it until the other day.
You did a Game Room Solutions one, right? It's a 27-inch pinball? 27-inch?
27-inch, and I would actually recommend it. I know they get a bad rap, but I would recommend their pinball cab. It goes together pretty easily. There's not a lot of room on the inside of it, so you probably need a PC mount for the bottom of it like I got. But I would definitely recommend it. And they even suggest what to get for your DMD screen if you get the 3rd monitor for it too.
Right, but it's already pre-cut out.
The biggest thing that I got to stress that I didn't really know is that you need that high-end GPU if you're running 3 monitors doing 3 different things at once. I tried running it with a 710, and the 710 just wasn't strong enough to do 3 monitors. I was getting a lot of lag. Tried a 1030. 1030 was doing good, but it wasn't doing great.
Minimum 1050.
1650 runs it like butter.
Yeah. Yes, GPUs, man. Oof, we know it's all hard.
They doubled the price, man.
Gene, what you got going on? What's cooking for you? Anything you want to shout out?
That was really about it. The next, the Galaga already modded Countercade, so y'all know that's on the channel. So if y'all know, put a 15 in there if you want a 15-inch or whatever. Everything is really on the channel that I've already done. It's kind of like I'm trying to figure out what else to do since I've already, done a bunch of it already. The golden T mod was like one of my favorite ones with the buttons over here and then the ball in the middle. So that was a really good one that people liked. But other than that, probably moving this. Probably I was going to go ahead. I have the old Mortal Kombat, all this modding stuff we have, right? Just in the closet. So I was going to go ahead and put the old one on here, go ahead and drill the holes here, and then have it, have it laid up here. So it'll look just like the old style system. It already has a 20-inch in it and all of that. But and then other than our show on tomorrow, me and UAG, we have it, a little bit later at the night with After P-Dub show. And y'all come check it out. It's really about
Check
it.
it out.
Really true.
The retro after party with UAG and MadDads, man. You guys have been doing fun to keep that going. So appreciate you. But my little one is telling me that it's time to go and to sign off. Mr. Chip was asking me to do a part 2 of my solenoid mod for the Arcade1Up. I definitely have things planned. So for folks that have been following my channel, I have my Legends Pinball review hopefully coming out soon this week. I've been dragging my feet on it, and then lots and lots of content related to that. But I appreciate both you guys, man. G and Joel, I can't believe the hour kind of flew by so quickly. But I have a hard cap because my family's here telling me it's dinner time. It's time to go. Is it time to go? Is it dinner time?
Yes.
You want to say hello?
It's all about the family.
Hello. It's all about the family. That's right. So thank you guys. I appreciate everybody joining. Have a great rest of your evening. MadDad's Genie. MadDad's Gaming. Check him out at his link to his description, link to his channels in the description. Joel, same thing, Retro Lizard. Appreciate everybody. We'll see you guys next time. Keep taking it to the next level. See you guys later. Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks so much.